The first thing Wade Mercer noticed wasn't the blood on her knee. It was the way she refused to let go of his arm. Rainwater dripped from both of them onto the warped wooden floor of his kitchen, while the storm rattled the harbor outside his apartment windows. She sat trembling at his small dining table wrapped in one of his old flannel shirts, her wet hair hanging over one shoulder, staring at him like she still wasn't sure she'd survived. Wade poured coffee into a chipped navy mug with hands that hadn't stopped shaking since he dragged her out of the marina water 20 minutes earlier. "You should be at a hospital," he said quietly. The woman looked down at the steam rising from the mug. "I can't go there." Her voice cracked on the last word. Wade studied her carefully now. Late 30s maybe. Expensive bracelet still hanging from one wrist. Wedding ring missing, but the pale mark remained. No purse. No phone. Barefoot. And terrified. Outside, thunder rolled across the docks. Inside that cramped apartment above the bait shop, something felt wrong. Not dangerous exactly, just heavy. Like two lonely people had accidentally collided at the exact moment their lives were breaking apart. Wade pushed the mug toward her. "You got a name?" She hesitated too long. Then finally whispered, "Elena." He nodded once. "Wade." Another silence settled between them. Most people in Harbor Point avoided silence. Wade had learned to live inside it ever since his wife passed 3 years earlier. Especially at night. Especially after his son fell asleep. Especially when the apartment got too quiet. Elena wrapped both hands around the mug like she needed the heat to stay alive. "You saved me," she said softly. Wade shrugged. "You were drowning." "That's not what I meant." He looked away first, because there was something in her eyes that unsettled him. Not attraction. Recognition. Like she understood loneliness better than he did. From the small hallway, 12-year-old Eli appeared, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Dad." Wade immediately stiffened. Eli froze when he saw the stranger sitting in the kitchen wearing his father's shirt. The boy's expression shifted fast. Confusion. Suspicion. Hurt. Wade felt his stomach tighten. "Elena fell in the marina," he explained. "I brought her here till the storm passes." Eli looked at her dripping hair and bruised knee. Then at the way she stared at the floor. His voice softened instantly. "You okay, ma'am?" Elena looked like she might cry at the kindness in his voice. "I think so." Eli nodded awkwardly. "Dad makes terrible coffee, but it helps." For the first time all night, Elena smiled. Small. Fragile. Real. And Wade realized he hadn't seen warmth in his kitchen in a very long time. The next morning, she was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just the folded flannel shirt left neatly on the chair beside the empty coffee mug. Wade told himself that was the end of it. A strange storm. A stranger in trouble. Nothing more. But 3 days later, someone knocked on his apartment door just after sunrise. Wade opened it half awake. And nearly stopped breathing. Elena stood there holding a paper grocery bag against her chest. Except now she looked completely different. Dry hair. Dark green coat. Subtle makeup. Elegant posture. And parked beside the curb below was a black luxury SUV worth more than Wade earned in 5 years. "I owe you breakfast," she said. Wade stared at the vehicle, then at her. "You're rich." A sad smile crossed her face. "Unfortunately." Eli came rushing from the hallway. "It's the marina lady." For reasons Wade couldn't explain, seeing his son smile at her made him nervous. Not because he distrusted her, because he already knew she was going to matter, and that terrified him. Over breakfast, Elena learned things Wade rarely told anyone. How he worked maintenance at the docks during the day and repaired fishing engines at night. How medical bills swallowed almost everything after his wife Claire got sick. How they'd nearly lost the apartment twice. How Eli pretended not to notice overdue notices taped near the mailbox. Elena listened carefully. Not politely, not casually, carefully, like every word hurt her somehow. When Eli left for school, she lingered by the sink watching Wade wash dishes. "You didn't ask why I was in the water," she said. Wade kept scrubbing. "Figured you'd tell me if you wanted." She nodded slowly. "My husband owns half this harbor." That got his attention. She continued staring out the window. "He also owns most of my life." Wade dried his hands. "You running from him?" Her silence answered everything. Over the next few weeks, Elena kept returning. Sometimes with groceries. Sometimes with books for Eli. Sometimes for no reason Wade could understand. She'd sit quietly in the kitchen while he fixed engines downstairs. Sometimes they barely talked. But the silence between them stopped feeling lonely. That scared Wade more than anything. One evening, Eli asked the question Wade had been avoiding. "You like her?" Wade nearly dropped his wrench. "She's just a friend." Eli gave him the look only middle school boys could give. "You smile different around her." That night Wade sat alone by the window long after Eli slept. Because the kid was right. He did smile different around her. And he hated himself for it. Claire had been gone 3 years. But grief had a cruel way of making love feel like betrayal. Then everything changed on a Thursday night. Elena arrived shaking. Not from cold. Fear. A bruise darkened the side of her wrist. Wade's entire body tightened the second he saw it. "Who did that?" She tried to hide it instinctively. "Nobody. Don't do that." Her eyes filled immediately. And suddenly she looked exhausted beyond words. "My husband found out I've been coming here." Wade felt something dark rise in his chest. "He touch you?" Elena looked away. That was enough. Wade grabbed his jacket instantly. But she caught his arm. "No, please. You don't understand what kind of man he is." "I understand enough. He'll destroy you." Wade laughed once. Tired. Bitter. "Lady. Life already took most things I had." The words hit harder than he intended. Elena stared at him for a long moment. Then quietly asked, "What if I told you saving me that night wasn't an accident?" Wade frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" Her hands trembled. "I went to that marina to die." The room went completely still. Even the hum of the refrigerator seemed to disappear. Elena's voice barely rose above a whisper. "For 22 years, I lived with a man who controls everything. My money, my friends, my phone, my life." She swallowed hard. "That night he told me nobody would even notice if I disappeared." Tears filled her eyes now. "And I believed him." Wade couldn't speak. Because suddenly he remembered the way she clung to his arm in the kitchen. Like someone returning from somewhere dark. "You know what stopped me?" she whispered. Wade shook his head. "Your son." He blinked. "Elena. I saw the two of you through your apartment window before I went near the docks." Her voice broke completely now. "You were cooking together. Laughing about something stupid. And I realized I couldn't remember the last time anyone looked at me with kindness." Wade felt his chest cave inward. Not from pity. Recognition. Because after Claire died, he'd spent years pretending he wasn't drowning too. Just slower. A week later, Wade came home to find 2 men in suits waiting outside his apartment. Elena's husband had sent them. Their message was simple. Stay away from her. Or lose everything. That night Wade told Elena she couldn't come back anymore. Not because he wanted her gone. Because fear had finally reached him. Eli overheard the argument from the hallway. And for the first time since Claire died, the boy yelled at his father. "You always run when you care about somebody." The words landed like a punch. Wade stood frozen while Eli stormed into his room, slamming the door. Elena quietly wiped her tears. "He's right," she whispered. Then she left. For the next month, the apartment returned to silence. No laughter in the kitchen. No extra coffee mug drying beside the sink. No unexpected warmth. Wade told himself it was safer this way. But safety had never felt so empty. Then one rainy afternoon, Wade got a call from the hospital. Elena had been admitted after collapsing at a hotel across town. By the time Wade arrived, she looked smaller somehow. Fragile. Tired. Human. Not elegant. Not wealthy. Just hurt. She smiled weakly when she saw him. "You came." "Course I came." For a while neither spoke. Rain slid down the hospital window behind her. Finally she handed him an envelope. Inside were legal papers. Divorce filings. Restraining orders. Bank records. Evidence. "I'm finally leaving him," she said softly. Wade stared at her in shock. "That takes courage." "No," she said. "Drowning took courage." A tiny smile formed. "Living is harder." He laughed unexpectedly through burning eyes. Then she reached for his hand. And Wade realized something that frightened him more than grief ever had. He didn't want to lose her. Months later, Harbor Point looked different in winter. Cleaner somehow. Quieter. The marina lights shimmered against calm black water, while snow drifted softly outside Wade's apartment windows. Inside, Eli argued with Elena over burnt pancakes while Wade pretended not to laugh. It wasn't perfect. They still carried scars. Elena still startled at loud voices sometimes. Wade still slept poorly on certain nights. Eli still missed his mother. But healing, Wade learned, rarely arrives all at once. Sometimes it enters quietly, soaked from the rain, asking for coffee. Near midnight, Elena stepped onto the apartment balcony, wrapped in Wade's old flannel shirt. The same one from the night they met. "You ever think about what would have happened if you didn't go to the marina?" she asked. Wade looked at the dark water below. "All the time." She leaned against him gently. "And," he smiled faintly, "I think 2 drowning people probably saved each other." Inside the apartment, Eli shouted that the pancakes were on fire again. Elena burst out laughing. Real laughter this time. The kind that comes from finally feeling safe. And Wade realized some people don't enter your life to rescue you from the storm. They arrive so you don't have to survive it alone anymore. If this story touched something in your heart, tell us in the comments who helped you through your darkest season. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us it's never too late to be saved.